Hi, everybody. It is that time again. Welcome to the 4 to 5. Eric Chilton here with Lauren Colvin, Chad Silber.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching us on News 2. We're also on Fire Stick, Roku, and we're also on the free WFMY News 2 app.
First thing we got to talk about, everybody's talking about it, the wild weather.
Yes.
Some might say it feels like we are on a roller coaster of weather. Yes, look at us there on that roller coaster.
Look at us.
Yes. Oh,
actually
I love
on the
that.
roller coaster.
And I am leading the pack. I don't know if that's scary or if that's a good idea.
I refuse to sit in the front car.
I just look nervous and confused. Well, the highs are decent, but the lows are pretty low. We're warming up soon, but Eric, even that's going to be short-lived.
Yeah, again, we're up and down for a while. These temperatures, or at least the changing temperatures, I should say, won't change for a while. Now, one thing I want to point out, and this is really unusual, an overnight low in the 20s, a high in the 60s in the same day, and that could actually happen with us tomorrow. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Right now we're at 54 in the Triad, 56 in Charlotte. These temperatures not all that bad. This morning, another story, we were in the mid to upper 20s. 56 in Raleigh, 55 in Fayetteville. Winds have been an issue today. These are the maximum wind gusts. Now, we're not seeing this as much right now. It is starting to relax a little bit, but in the early morning hours, we had a gust of wind up to 38 miles per hour in Galax. Mostly in the Triad, it's low to mid 20s, 22 to 24 miles per hour for wind gusts. Again, that's not sustained winds, just little gusts here and there. It does make it feel cold, and colder than even these numbers. 28 with that freeze warning in effect again tonight as we see clear skies and cold conditions. You see the winds finally calming down, 5 to 10 out of the northwest. Notice the winds tomorrow, okay? So we look at that southwest flow, 10 to 15. Southwest makes a difference because that ushers in warmer air. Very rarely do you see a low in the 20s and a high in the 60s in the same day. If that high were to go up 4 more degrees, we would have a 40-degree difference in low temperature to high temperature tomorrow. So you're going to see a quick warm up tomorrow. Pretty clear right now across the region. There's that freeze warning we're talking about, and that goes until tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, and then we'll be able to lift that. It's pretty much for most of the viewing area here. Clear across the region, high pressure in control, and that'll be the case as we head into tomorrow. One thing to note with this map, as the high sinks down to the south, our winds shift out of the southwest, and that's that warming trend. So 64 tomorrow, partly cloudy skies, and then Friday we do see some rain for St. Patty's Day, probably into the evening hours, and 62. Clearing and cooler for your weekend. Still a little rain left over, I would say first half of the day, Saturday possible, maybe Saturday morning, but 54 for the high. A cold 49 on Sunday with clear skies. And then Monday, as we kick off first day of spring, it won't feel like it. 50 degrees there, 47 on Tuesday, 53 Wednesday, another rain chance coming in on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Weather changes are expected over the next few days, so make sure you're prepared. The best way to do so is to download our free WFMY News 2 app. That way you'll have the forecast with you no matter where you are.
Time now for your 4 to 5 roundup. First up today, city leaders want to get your thoughts on a busy road in Greensboro. Some drivers say the portion of Battleground Avenue near Lawndale and Westover is just too confusing.
Well, you know, like I say, when you're getting out, coming, you know, trying to get out, you got to do your U-turns and stuff, and that could be very, very dangerous for a lot of people. It takes a lot more than used to it. Like, usually be here in 5 or 10 minutes, but now you're taking like 15 to 20 minutes to get off on the exit.
The city and state DOT hope to improve congestion in that area. If you'd like to chime in on the project, there's a public input session on March 27th at Guilford Park Presbyterian Church. The city also has a survey on its website.
A dog is dead and a woman is severely hurt after a house fire in Summerfield. Firefighters got the call around 4 o'clock this morning. Once on scene, they were able to rescue another person and dog from the home. Officials don't believe the home had any working smoke alarms. The cause of this fire is still under investigation.
Honda is recalling 500,000 vehicles because the front seat belts might not latch properly. The recall covers some of its top-selling models. Dealers will replace the release buttons or assemblies if needed. Owners will be notified by mail next month if their vehicle is recalled.
A new Food Lion grocery store is now open in Kernersville. The store held a ribbon cutting this morning for the new North Main location. The first 100 customers in line got a mystery gift card valued up to $200, free reusable shopping bags, and a custom apron. The store will carry several locally owned products and more self-checkouts. Food Lion has been a part of the Kernersville community for over 35 years.
We all know the sacrifice veterans have made to our country. VA clinics are there to help them access important services.
However, there's not one in every city or county, so getting to one for appointments, it can be pretty tricky.
There's a new service starting next week in Rockingham County that will help transport veterans to the VA in Kernersville. The caravan is free of charge. The chairlift van will leave from Eden, Reedsville, and Mayodan Walmarts every Monday, several times a day. Fellow veterans will be behind the wheel.
And it's a chance to give back to the community, to give back to veterans, those who serve, to serve them. You know, it's a positive, tangible way of saying thank you to those who served. And so I'm excited to get to know some of them. Being a veteran myself, I'm looking forward to hearing some of the stories and relating to them on a one-to-one basis.
The organization's director, Kathy Powers, says volunteers used to take vets to their appointments, but a lot of that stopped during the pandemic. The program was born by recognizing the need that existed.
A lot of our local veterans have had to rely on private transportation that they privately purchase through other vendors, which can be quite costly. And we know that that is not something when you're just trying to go see your doctor or get your blood pressure medicine filled, it's not something that's easily accessible if you're having to pay those high private pay charges.
And what a great idea. Power says the caravan is funded for the next 3 years with American Rescue Plan money. They'll take their first trip next Monday. You can find more information about signing up on our website. You know, over the years we have heard about issues at VA off clinics, not so much the one in Kernersville, but elsewhere where there just are too many people to be able to help the number of veterans who need the help. And transportation is also a big issue with that. So I think this will definitely help.
Absolutely needed and necessary. We're talking about folks who played the ultimate sacrifice, you know, who put their life on the line for our country. So any way we can provide support is a great thing. And a lot of times when we talk about equal access to care, that transportation is a big part of it. You have a lot of folks that live in rural areas, so getting on a bus line, that is not possible. So any way we can meet people where they are is a beautiful thing.
Hey, coming from Rockingham County to Kernersville, there is no direct way to get there if you don't have a ride yourself. So I think this is very important, and it'd be great if we could see other counties start that same thing, just to kind of increase the accessibility.
Well, maybe they'll be the blueprint for that.
Absolutely.
It'd be great to see.
All right, Eric, we got to talk about a dance for a good cause.
Yeah, this is really cool. It's an event happening this weekend. It really hits close to home for those of us that were shaped by the arts, and I'm one of those. But the Dance Project is a nonprofit. They help keep the art of dance alive really all across the state of North Carolina, and they're based right here in Greensboro. And this weekend is their 4.5-hour dance marathon fundraiser. I spoke with director Lauren Joyner about what to expect.
So the dance marathon is a big old dance party fundraiser. You're going to have every 20 minutes, there's a different class, a different performance. All of the classes are open level. It's in the Van Dyke Performance Space, and we dance on the stage. And the more the merrier. You can watch, you can participate. We also will have different dance challenges to help raise money. We're going to have prizes. So it's a big old party for a great cause to help bring the joy of dance to as many people as possible.
Yeah, the marathon is one of their biggest fundraisers, but the soul of their organization is, as she said, making dance accessible to everyone, because this can actually be one of the more expensive arts to participate in.
You're looking at tuition for classes, you're looking at costume fees if you want to participate in any types of performances. And so we realized early on that if we really wanted to make professional quality dance accessible, we had to work hard to take some of those barriers down. And we do that by keeping our tuition costs low. We also have a really robust scholarship program because of events like the marathon and grant support and supporters from all over the state. We were able to provide over $20,000 in scholarships this year. So we gave out 40 different scholarships throughout the year to students who otherwise may never get to experience the joy of dance.
It's a great organization, and what they do, they also sponsor, I can't remember the official name, but it's like a North Carolina dance touring event. So it goes all over the state and does different types of dances to show kids and get them interested at a young age. I know when Drew wanted to do it for a little while, and when we went to buy all that stuff.
It's expensive.
It's expensive.
I used to take tap, jazz, and ballet. My sister did as well. We did it for a few years, and not only are the classes expensive, you think about shoes, and if you have multiple kids participating, that's double the amount of costumes.
I think she just wanted the tutu, to be honest. But
She just bought her that.
she used to wear them all the time.
But the dance project is great. I've actually taken one of their African dance classes. Remember I kept talking about, oh, I can't wait to take it because it's kind of like a fitness class too. But I took it with a couple girls at the station on a Wednesday evening, and it was a blast. The instructors are great. They kind of break it down to you to where you'll understand it. So they do have some other little programs here and there where you're not taking an official class where you're going to dance and put on a presentation.
Did you ever do, I did theater growing up through high school. Did you ever do any of that where you had to dance for group numbers? Or?
I did theater in middle school, but then when I moved to high school, I was playing both hockey and soccer, so it just wasn't at the time. Yeah, but admittedly, I really didn't know much about my depth of knowledge about the arts was very shallow until a few years ago when the North Carolina Folk Festival came to town. And then just going there and seeing all the different types of dance that exist
that you didn't
really
know about.
opened my mind to just the possibilities.
Well, check it out this weekend, and we'll have a story on WFMYnews2.com. We'll be right back.
Studies show the health of Black women is improving, but significant disparities still exist.
According to the Journal of Women's Health, Black women are disproportionately impacted by chronic conditions like fibroids. Our National Verified team dives deeper into the illness and the disparities around the diagnosis.
Let's verify that Black women are more likely to be diagnosed with fibroids than white women. Our sources are Dr. Madeline Sutton, a board-certified OBGYN at Grady Hospital and faculty member with Morehouse School of Medicine, Mayo Clinic, and a study published by the American Journal of Obstetrics and Gynecology. Let's start with what fibroids actually are. According to the Mayo Clinic, uterine fibroids are non-cancerous growths which often appear during your childbearing years. Most don't cause problems and never develop into cancer.
Most people, if they do have fibroids, they're often very small.
If symptoms do occur, it can appear as heavy menstrual bleeding or pelvic pain, among others.
So the very first thing you should do if you think you might have like some pelvic pain or your cycle is heavier than usual or you're bleeding in between periods, anything like that, I would definitely say reach out to your provider.
According to a study published by the American Journal of Obstetrics and Gynecology, while most women will get them by age 50, fibroids are more common and more severe among African American women. Dr. Sutton weighed in, saying it's important to talk with your healthcare provider about your treatment options.
They might be avoiding their provider because they don't want to have a hysterectomy. But a hysterectomy is not the only treatment for fibroids. There are so many other options out there. So I just don't want people to walk feeling miserable or bleeding or having pain. So don't suffer in silence. Come on in and talk with your provider about the different options that are out there.
The Black Women's Health Study also suggests that Black women waited substantially longer than white women before seeking treatment, which can lead to more severe cases and more expensive medical treatments like surgery. About 42 per 1,000 women who are hospitalized each year are because of fibroids, with Black women accounting for a majority of the cases. So we can verify, yes, Black women are more likely to be diagnosed with fibroids than white women.
Health experts recommend maintaining a healthy weight and eating well to decrease your fibroid risk. As always, we're dedicated to answering any questions you have. If you see a claim online that you want us to verify, send us an email at verify@WFMY.com. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Well, we get ready for another cold night, which means a cold start to your morning, of course, tomorrow. Similar to this morning, you know, maybe a smidge warmer, but we're still looking at upper 20s. And there is a freeze warning in effect, which will be from overnight tonight through tomorrow morning around 9 or 10 o'clock. Let's say we'll keep an eye on the temperatures for you. For the most part, it's not horrible right now, right? Mid-50s, we can live with that. Normal high this time of the year, low 60s. So we're not too far off the mark, but still a little bit cool. But we do watch for these winds. Thank goodness the winds will relax. I mean, look at these wind gusts, and these are maximum wind gusts at some point today. So technically since midnight last night. In the mountain communities, anywhere from 30 to 40 miles per hour. But most of the time across the Triad today, we've seen 20, 25 mile per hour wind gusts. Now those aren't sustained winds, just a little gust here or there. Most of the winds 10 to 15 today, so we can live with that. Hour by hour, though, it will drop quickly as we head into the overnight. You can see how quickly we get into the 40s and then some lower 30s in that overnight toward early morning, but again, bottoming out in the upper 20s. We do expect clear skies all the way across the board. That's what we're seeing right now. And that freeze warning, as we mentioned, in effect. One thing to note here, by the way, all of these counties are going to be in the 20s, if not colder in the higher elevations. But the National Weather Service office that governs the counties you see not showing up in this freeze warning, that's in Blacksburg, Virginia, and they have not issued the freeze warning yet, but we think they will. So just assume that anywhere in the viewing area, we will see that freeze warning for tomorrow morning. So pets and plants on the inside if you have those potted plants. And across the region, we're pretty clear. High pressure is in control. It has been windy, but as this high shifts south and east, we'll see the winds die down a little bit. If you're on the left side of that high, winds will be out of the south, which starts tomorrow. So we see a really fast warm up. I mean, you're talking morning temperatures, upper 20s, high temperatures in the 60s tomorrow. That's really unusual for us. We're 35-ish degrees change from a start to finish tomorrow. Here's what it looks like in the 7-day. Yeah, we said the overnight lows there in the 20s, but we're in the 60s for tomorrow, 64 degrees. 62 on St. Patty's Day, that's Friday, 60% chance of rain. That'll be second half of the day, probably late day rain. 40% for Friday, Saturday morning, and a cooler 54. It is cold on Sunday though, sunshine and 49. First day of spring Monday with a high of 50. We've got a little bit of rain coming in Tuesday, Wednesday. Still cool though, 47 on Tuesday, warming up to 53 by Wednesday next week.
Law enforcement say an old scam is making new rounds. You may have heard of the dangers of putting mail in these blue mail office boxes, but remember, don't do it. They're public and often not being watched, which means thieves can easily get into them. But the concern isn't just over these mailboxes alone. Scammers are now using new technology to target mailboxes right outside your home.
Very stressful.
Dottie and Charlie Layton recently wrote a $37 check for the power bill and dropped it in the same Boston area blue box that they've used for years. But days later, the bank called and said someone was trying to cash that same check now with an amount of nearly $10,000.
They could empty a whole bank account out. We have quite a bit in the checking account.
The Laytons were part of a wave of mail thefts where thieves steal checks from mailboxes outside of homes to apartment buildings and those blue boxes. Authorities say sometimes criminals use homemade devices to pull mail out of the box. In other cases, they use a stolen master key known as an arrow key. Last year, police near Chicago released video of a man opening a blue box and taking out all of the mail.
Once they have the arrow keys, they have access to hundreds of mailboxes.
David Myman is a professor of criminology at Georgia State University and has been tracking criminal groups that wade through stolen mail to find checks.
They look for IRS checks, they look for personal checks, they look for business checks.
Thieves can use chemicals to remove writing on a check and then replace the name and amount. More sophisticated criminals can go a step further.
Once you have the check, you essentially have the entire information you need in order to manufacture more and more checks.
Authorities in several parts of the country are asking people to drop mail inside the post office instead of in a blue box. The Layton's new strategy is to circumvent the mail.
We're going to pay as much as we can online.
The couple plans to stop using paper checks to prevent becoming victims again. Authorities say people should not leave checks in their home mailboxes. The Better Business Bureau advises people who write checks to buy a pen with enduring black ink, which is very difficult to wash off.
All right, so this got us thinking about paying bills the old-fashioned way. So I asked you, do you still write checks and send them out in the mail? Dwayne Young said tithes are by check. And anytime someone does work around the house, I pay with cash or check, but very little by mail. Joanne says both. I take checks to the post office, take them inside to mail them myself. Cindy said no, auto pay, all online. Kathy said my husband took over the bills and pays online. However, I personally like to pay by check. I just like paper, and I, believe it or not, still get a daily newspaper. Good for you. Candace says I had a new checkbook for 2 years, only used 2 checks out of it. I love paying my bill through bill pay. It's through the bank. It's quick. It's easy, free, safe, with quick delivery, and requires no stamps or visits to the post office. I am an online person myself. I don't do as much. I probably should do more auto pay, but sometimes to me that's confusing. I'd rather manually pay it online to make sure that I paid it, because I have paid a bill twice before by mistake. Or didn't pay it all because I thought I did. Like I thought the auto pay took it.
I do the opposite. I do everything auto pay except for my rent. That way I don't forget to pay anything because we do have so many bills. I've gotten the final alert like, you missed this last, and I'm like, ooh, can't be messing up my credit now. Let me put everything on auto pay. So that's been working for me.
I have everything on auto pay except my credit card that gets a lot of use. So everything, all of my bills, just because I forget and I write it on a calendar and then I'm thinking about it 4 days before and then I'm stressed about it because I'm thinking about that when I'm supposed to be thinking about something else, so I just do auto pay.
So do you do this? So I have to, what I do is I have just a little note thing where I'll write down which bills are going to come out of what paycheck.
Yeah, I do that.
Is that how you?
I do that because I like to say I have the rent check and the luxury check. That's how I like to see. And so my bills, I like to be on the luxury check, and then the rent check, like that mostly be
the biggest one.
Yeah, so that's kind of my rhyme or reason.
Now you know our methods. We'll be right back.
Hi, mic check 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check.
Welcome back. It's halftime. 30 more minutes ahead of action.
I like
Jam-packed
halftime
action.
because then you could always get the good entertainment, right?
That's right.
In halftime, because we're also in basketball season right now, so that's where my mind went.
This is my favorite time of year.
Yeah, so I wonder, for all the fans here from 8 different teams coming this weekend to Greensboro, what do you think?
I mean, it's going to be jam-packed everywhere, which is a good thing for us, right? I mean, we want
I meant the weather.
Oh, no, I'm getting there. Okay. But I think because of it's not quite as cold as it had, not for the weekend.
Sure.
50s, and for a lot of these people that are coming from cold weather climates,
this
they'll
is
be
summer
in shorts,
to them.
right.
They'll be in flip-flops.
Their first green grass they've seen in a while.
That's exactly right.
All right, well, we got to talk about basketball. 68 college teams are all in a quest to nab that top spot. 3 North Carolina teams are in the running, as you know, Duke, NC State, and UNC Asheville.
We planted the flag in Orlando, Florida, where Duke will battle it out against Oral Roberts tomorrow. WFMY News 2's Amanda Ferguson is live right now inside the Amway Center. Amanda, this is such an amazing time.
That is right, Lauren. We are getting ready for the first round of the NCAA tournament here in Orlando. Duke, the 5 seed, getting ready to take on the 12 seed Oral Roberts right here tomorrow night inside the Amway Center. The team getting on the court earlier today, getting some practice in. Duke on a 9-game winning streak, fresh off an ACC championship, heading into the big dance. Players telling us how they're feeling heading into the tournament.
It feels really good. I think we're playing our best basketball this season at the right time. I think we're peaking. I think we still have some ways to go. I think we can be a very dangerous team in this tournament. I think we just keep playing together, do what we've been doing, and just being one unit. I think we'll be really good.
I just focus on what you can do, what you can control, and that's playing every game hard, locking in on a scout, being locked in physically and mentally.
So basically, we start a clean slate tomorrow. It's all about surviving and advancing. You got to focus on one game and one game only because that's all you're guaranteed. And for Duke, that is Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts and Duke get underway here at the Amway Center tomorrow night at 7:10 tomorrow night. You can watch that right here on WFMY News 2.
An exciting couple days ahead. Amanda, thank you. Duke has ties to Orlando's NBA team. 2 former players, Paolo Banchero and Wendell Carter Jr., play for the Orlando Magic. Banchero was the #1 overall pick in last year's draft. He was first-team All-ACC and League Rookie of the Year in his 1 season with the Blue Devils. Carter is in his 2nd season with the Magic after his start in Chicago. Both are key players as the team looks to make a push to this year's playoffs.
Meanwhile, here at home, the Greensboro Coliseum is getting ready to host first-round games. Crews have already begun the process of flipping over the court following the ACC tournament. 8 different teams will hit the court on Friday. One of the teams that failed to win the ACC title is making a trip back to Greensboro. They beat Mississippi State during the first 4, landing them a spot in the big dance. The Panthers lost to the Blue Devils last week during the quarterfinals. Duke took it all the way. March Madness coverage on WFMY News 2 starts tomorrow. Duke will take on Oral Roberts at 7 p.m. Keep in mind, we will air NCAA hoops from noon to 5 and then also from 7 to midnight. That means our noon newscast and our 4 to 5 will not air. WFMY News 2 at 11 is slated to air at midnight.
Some other big sports news today. Longtime Green Bay Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers is heading to the New York Jets. He said today he has intentions on being traded to the Jets, but it will not come cheap for New York, and it's causing a holdup in the deal between the teams. The Packers say they are waiting for the right price for the star quarterback.
We're waiting for warmer weather, and guess what? We do get warmer weather tomorrow, but not until the afternoon, because tomorrow morning, once again, we're talking about freezing temperatures. Freeze warning in effect overnight tonight until probably around 9 or 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. We'll keep you posted on that. 54 in the Triad now. At the coast, 57 in Wilmington. Charleston, South Carolina at 58. It's really not too bad. Our normal high, low 60s, so we're a little bit below normal. Go to 42 in Boone and 52 in Asheville. Clear skies for us. In fact, that'll be the case heading into the night tonight, clear and cold. Pretty much just assume that everybody in the viewing area under this freeze warning until tomorrow morning, and we'll keep you posted. It will be a very fast warm up. So sometimes we'll say freeze warning until 9 or 8 or 10, but the bottom line is this warmer air is going to move in so quickly, we may see them drop that freeze warning at the National Weather Service even earlier than you might expect, but we will still start the morning in the upper 20s and then shoot way up to the 60s. Clear skies, you can tell here. There is a low pressure back out west, but that high will be in control of our forecast for at least for the next 24 hours or so. Warmer air on the left side of that high. And as that happens and pushes back into our area, that brings us back to the 60s. Really unusual to show an overnight low of 28 and then a high temperature of 64 in the same day. 62 on Friday, though. Some rain moving in Friday night and Saturday morning, a cooler high of 54 Saturday. Sunday, the coolest day at 49, at least for the weekend. Lots of sun, though. Monday, first day of spring, with a high of 50 and then some rain. Tuesday, that is the coldest day of the week at 47, and we bounce back to 53 for Wednesday with a slight leftover shower.
Weather changes are expected over the next few days, so make sure you are prepared. The best way to do so is to download our free WFMY News 2 app. That way you'll have the forecast with you no matter where you go.
Let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup now. Maybe you've seen some of the wild pictures or video. Parts of New England and New York are digging out after a winter storm that caused tens of thousands of power outages. The storm dumped as much as 3 feet of snow in some places. It's also causing issues with air travel, with a few hundred flights already delayed or canceled.
We have new details on a North Carolina woman found dead in Mexico. Attorneys representing Shanquilla Robinson are requesting more from the White House. This week, they sent a letter to President Joe Biden naming a 26-year-old suspect accused of Robinson's murder. The letter includes an 18-page evidence report with unreleased documents from police. Attorneys want the suspect extradited to Mexico or have the case turned over to the U.S. Mexican police found Robinson dead last year after she went on a trip with a group of friends. She attended Winston-Salem State University.
The state Supreme Court reheard arguments today involving a recent voter ID decision. You'll remember the previous Democrat-controlled Supreme Court ruled it unconstitutional. At the time, the justices believed the law discriminated against certain voting groups. The court is now conservative-leaning, which means the new justices could rule differently. If they decided to reverse the ruling, voter ID laws could be reinstated.
Right now, House lawmakers are pushing to legalize sports betting in North Carolina. This week, a group of bipartisan lawmakers introduced the legislation in the House. While it's not the first time legislators have proposed the matter, they believe this time around it'll actually become law.
The bets will take place online. It's a move that State Representative Jason Sain, who sponsored the bill, says would mean millions for the state. Additional dollars that can help with roads, schools, and health care.
These are monies that go back into the state coffers because we will see somewhere between $50 to $100 million raised, and it could be more than that.
But last year, the bipartisan proposal failed to secure enough support to pass, as leaders on both sides expressed concern over the possibility of gambling addiction. Representative Sain says this year's bill includes money to support programs that help with addiction, but State Representative Mark Brody, who opposed the measure last year, said it's not likely the new proposal will get the green light from him.
You're potentially adding to the revenue of the state, but to me, that's a trade-off. Am I willing to forego that revenue in exchange for not having to deal with the problems of sports betting?
Sain says the proposal could go to the House floor in the next couple of weeks.
Bill sponsors hope to legalize online sports betting will encourage a new business growth like sports lounges popping up across the state.
Cold milk and an Oreo cookie, they forever go together like a classic combination. Marge. The Luck of the Irish is on the calendar for Friday the 17th. But what if I told you that, oh yeah, you don't have to wait until Friday to find your own personal pot of gold.
You'll find a lot of your viewers have $100, $200, $300 still sitting at nccash.com. And since we've been doing this, Tanya, over the last few years, we've taken in another $700 million of new money. So just because you checked your name previously, you should go check it again.
That's right. Checking your name in the Unclaimed cash site, let me get that out, is free and it's easy. You simply put your name in. If you have cash, a listing pops up. In the Triad alone, there's $157 million in unclaimed property and cash. And I think a lot of folks are like, all right, where did this cash come from?
Right.
I'm a little like, dubious about this. It's when you like put a deposit for a utility or something and they didn't give it back to you, or when you overpaid for insurance, this is where the money goes.
Okay. I'm so surprised at the people who get like $20,000.
That's amazing.
That is huge.
You remember I did it last time you did it, I got like $60.
Right. So I checked last time for my name and my sister's name, and I didn't see anything. So if I were to check now, there's a possibility I could have money there.
Oh yeah. I mean, stuff comes in all the time. So, I mean, it changes over all the time, so you should just check.
Check throughout the year.
Yes, absolutely.
And you had mentioned one time that that every state has this.
Yes.
And so I actually went and looked at Wisconsin and looked at my whole family. My little sister, who needs a lot of hand-holding with things, had $20, and I haven't told her because I'm afraid she's going to get me involved and she's going to have all these questions, and it's not worth the $20.
It's going to be so easy.
It's so easy. Yeah, it's easy to do.
These days, $20 goes a long way.
That means we should check Florida.
You should.
Yes,
you absolutely
because
should.
I lived in Florida.
That's right. So we've had coworkers who had more than $1,000 because the mortgage company had escrow money that should have been paid to them. And you heard the treasurer, new money comes in every day. So check, and double check. So we do these stories, right? Every time that there's some like big holiday or whatever, just to remind you, you really should be checking.
Right. Have you ever found money for you?
Yes, I have. In fact, the last time we did this, it was around New Year's Eve or something like that, and I found another $20. And I was like, okay, come on.
$20.
That's right.
What happens to the unclaimed cash? Like if no one goes,
stays there.
Just stays there.
Forever.
Okay, then you gotta check your name. So you
gotta
can
check
get
your
this
name.
cash.
Gotta check your name, your maiden name, your mom's name, your friend's name, your church group's name, your nonprofit's name. All right, so you know I'm a stickler for protecting your identity. So I want to make sure that the treasurer explains why you have to put your social security number in to claim your cash.
The Social Security number is required because it comes to us under a Social Security number or a tax identification number. And I know how nervous people are about giving out their Social Security number, but this is a very secure site.
All right, checking to see if you have unclaimed cash and getting that unclaimed cash. It is free. Here is my warning. Do not Google the words unclaimed cash. If you do, you will probably end up on a third-party site that is going to charge you. So instead, go to the Who Wants to Know section, click the link that I give you, get your money, and get it for free. All right.
Yeah, here we go again with another frigid morning. This morning, lows in the 20s. Same story again tomorrow, freeze warning in effect. We may see that freeze warning lifted more quickly tomorrow morning than what we had today, only because this quick influx of warmer air, which is coming in by afternoon. In fact, it's about a 35-ish degree difference in our overnight low tonight and the high tomorrow. You usually don't see that. That's very unusual. 54 in Greensboro and Burlington, high point at 56. We have 55 for Lexington, Asheboro at 53. Even in the foothills, Mount Airy showing up at 51. Tonight's low 28. Tomorrow's high 64. That's a huge difference. That freeze warning in effect. Notice the winds out of the northwest 5 to 10. So they have calmed down a little bit, but they changed directions, and that's the big story. That's how you can tell. Southwest wind 10 to 15. That means coming out of the southwest, so that warms us up to 64, and we'll see morning sunshine, maybe a few clouds starting to build late ahead of the next system, which will come in Friday, and that brings us some rain, we think, on Friday. It's about a 60% chance of that. When you look at the radar and satellite combination, all clear across the Carolinas, and that is that large ridge of high pressure that we've been talking about. It starts to shift a little bit south and east, and as it does that, we enter into the warm sector. That warmer air stays with us for a couple of days, and we really do the seesaw thing with temperatures over and over, it seems like, over the next few days. That's the next system to bring rain on our Friday, but then we'll clear it out and cool it down just in time for your weekend. So let's look at that long-range forecast, 7-day outlook with high temperatures at 64 degrees tomorrow after a very cold start. St. Patty's Day, yeah, some rain on the way, so prepare for that, but 62. Temperatures are good. Clearing out Saturday after morning rain, 54 will be the high. It's sunny on Sunday, but cold, 20s and 40s for lows and highs. On Monday, first day of spring, we hit 50 even, and then we're even cooler on Tuesday. Rain chance comes in then. That's a 40% chance. Right now, just rain, but 47 degrees for the high, and then 53 on Wednesday with a leftover shower.
Tweetsie Railroad in the Blue Ridge Mountains is getting 3 new rides. The new additions include a mini swing for kids, spinning coaster, and a 50-feet drop tower. The train-inspired amusement park says the rides will stick to the classic Wild West theme with options for all ages. Construction crews have already started installing the rides. Opening date at Tweetsie is April 8th. So this expansion got us thinking about places we wanted to go as kids that our parents may not have taken us. So I asked you on my Facebook page. Shelby Gore says any place out of our country. Renee Thompson wrote Disney World, and I still haven't seen it. Beatty Devon said the zoo, and then Rebecca Johnson said the beach, and Glenn Kelly, Hooters. I can understand it, depending on how young you were, that probably wasn't appropriate for you to go to Hooters
as a
yet.
kid.
Your parents probably would have had to cover your eyes like the whole time that you were eating there. So that's understandable.
I had a good friend of mine in Tampa. She worked at Hooters for years and years, and finally when she was an EMT really by trade, but she did it on the side for extra money. She told me, she goes, yeah, I'm getting older, time to hang up the orange shorts. That's what she called it. Time to hang up the orange.
They have good sangria though.
They do. They do. That's
good
funny.
wings too, right?
All right, so go to go to someplace as a kid that I always wanted to go was I always wanted to go to the West Coast, and we couldn't afford it. But I always wanted to. California was a thing for me as a kid. I wanted to see LA.
I wanted to go to Disney World. I eventually went, and I loved it. And now
As a
I still
kid?
want to go back. Yeah, I love it.
I do too.
It's just a cool spot.
Mom was gonna say Disney World as well. I did go as a child. I went when I was 4, but I was afraid. I was terrified of all the people in costumes.
The mask, yes.
Except for the original crew, like the Mickey, the Minnie. I wasn't afraid of them, but I remember seeing Rafiki from The Lion King, and I vaguely remember tipping my stroller over because I was acting crazy.
Oh, you were that little?
Yeah,
You remember?
I remember that.
That's funny.
Oh man,
a fear of mascots.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I remember driving to Disney World
From Wisconsin? Oh.
And we had like just this small vehicle, all 5 of us, and my dad said that we were
That's a
on
long
top.
trip.
We were laying on top of the luggage, no seatbelts, because back
Oh,
then
yeah, no,
It didn't matter.
nobody
Right.
needed seatbelts. I mean,
Right.
needed them,
You
but no
needed
one
them.
ever did it. What a wild time that was.
That's
Aw.
crazy.
Gotta love the early 90s. All right, as we reflect on moments from our childhood, Coach Lamont has a timely message about life and the importance of living a full one.
Philosophy asks the question, what is life? It suggests life is the aspect of existence that processes, evaluates, and evolves through growth. I wonder if the appropriate question is, what is the meaning, the purpose of life? I believe that anything that has breath was created with an intended purpose that must be fulfilled. The greatest tragedy in life is not death, but a life void of purpose realized. Unsatisfied purpose will lead to a life unsatisfied and a life filled with questions and never answers. You don't exist to merely exist. There's a contribution that only you can deposit in this world to make it a better place. Whatever you were created to fulfill is waiting to be fulfilled by you. Your intended purpose, my friend, it's calling. Don't you think it's time you answer? This is Coach Lamont. Make today your best you day. I'll see you tomorrow.
You know, one of my favorite sayings is, I'm not here for a long time, I'm here for a good time.
Yes.
And I live by that mantra and try to have a fulfilling life and try to do all the things that is within my means because you only get one shot.
Yeah.
You get one chance at it, so make it a good one.
And that's how I try to look at life too, because I think we can get so caught up in, I got to get to the next level, got to get this promotion, got to get this check, got to get this bag, and you start to miss out on things in life. And I remember when I went on my trip to Mexico and just was gone for 5 days in bliss, and I said, this is what life is about. You have to enjoy it because it might not be here.
Yeah.
Or you'll work so hard and not be able to appreciate all the money that you worked hard for.
What's that old saying that nobody ever said on their deathbed? I wish I'd worked 5 more days, you know, or something.
Right.
Nobody says that.
We'll be right back.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. I was like, Amber, Amber. Mic check, 1, 2, 3.
Hey, mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check.
Microphone check, microphone check, microphone.
Hello, it was 25 this morning. Now it's 55 this afternoon.
Hi, Brett. 1, 2, 3. Get ready for basketball. Cray.
Yes, sir. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Check, check, check.
Hey, it's time for my 2 cents, and today I want to talk about an event that I'm familiar with, but took a new twist this year. So there's something at my daughter's elementary school. She's my youngest, Drew, last one in elementary school actually. And every year at the book fair, they do this thing called Donuts for Dads. Really cute. All the dads come in, walk with the kids. Everybody gets donut and coffee or milk for the kids, and then they would pick out your books from the book fair. Well, and I told my daughter I'd get her 4 books, so she was picking them out and running me all over the place from one section to the other, and it's packed. There are dads and kids everywhere. And she got 4 books, and 3 of them looked like what I know she likes to read. Well, 1 did not. And I said, "What's this one, Drew?" And she said, "Read the back." And I read the back of it, and it was a story about a child who suffered with severe anxiety and had some panic attack type disorders. And it was about his struggle and then success in beating it. And it was told through a novel story. And I said, "What's this?" And she said, "Well, it's a friend of mine that is going through something like this, and I wanted my 4th book to be for him." Well, I started tearing up a little bit in line, gave her a hug. We got through the book fair. She went to class, and I got in the car. And it made me realize sometimes children break things down to the very basics of what life is all about, right? Kindness, love, friendship, family. And she just taught me a lesson, my 10-year-old daughter. And it made me realize that sometimes children teach us more than we teach them, and we need to listen because they got things to say that are very important. I was very proud of her that day. And that's just my 2 cents. That's your 4 to 5. WFMY News 2 at 5 starts now.
Within the next few years, it may be a lot less confusing driving through this part of Battleground Avenue in Greensboro. Coming up, details on plans for some new traffic patterns.
And get ready to go basketball crazy. The first round of the 2020